Survey said. You said.
Hey guys, Brace here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make an intro using C4D and then eventually After Effects. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this cube, I'm going to hold down, make it null, and then I'm going to drag it under everything. Then I'm going to go to Window, Timeline, I'm going to call this Music, and then drag it into here, then add Special Track Sound, and then get your song. So using this song, boom, and then you're going to want to save this. C4D, yeah, I already did that. And then a circle and a camera. I would just take like an existing project if you already have one, because I don't feel like showing you how to do this. But the camera, the focal length is 18. I keep the sensor size the same. Well, I actually increase it by 1. Then 2 mode text, inner null. First one, depth is 20, 140 height, 15 horizontal. Second one's 42 depth. Then for radius, 15 steps for the bottom one, and for the top, 15 steps and 6 centimeters for the radius, and fillet cap. And then after that, I'm going to select both text, and then I'm going to click C, and I'm going to click the plus, and I'm going to click Control on both the letters, and I'm going to click Alt G, and that's going to combine them so that they are both one. I'm going to go MoGraph, Fracture, and I'm going to drag all these into the Fracture. I'm going to delete this, and now I'm going to save. Going to rename all these so they're easier to just look at. Then after that, I'm going to go to Mesh, Axis Center. Then it should already be, it's going to center the axis, so if I try to rotate the text right now, it would rotate from the bottom, but we don't want that, so I'm going to click on each letter and click execute, so now it rotates from the middle. Okay, so now that we've done that, I have my song, so I'm going to click on this, go to Corden, and then I'm going to make it like 387, yeah, that's good. Actually, first we're going to find the drop. So like 61 for me. Then I'm going to go 2 frames behind the drop. I'm going to make it like 152. And I'm going to go 4 frames from that keyframe. Make it like negative 145, sure. Then like at 120, I'll make it negative 360. Go to Window, Timeline. Then I'm going to drag this text into here. Rotation, okay, and then see, I can't really explain how to like make the F curves. I just know what I want them to look like, so something like that maybe. So we got that. I'm gonna click on the fracture that I renamed to the name. Then I'm gonna make a formula. I'm gonna turn off position and scale. I'm gonna put this at 15, put this at negative 15, and put this at 5. Then I'm gonna turn it down to like 30, and put these both at 0.25. And then now the text will just kind of move a little bit, like that. Let's see what that one with. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a step. I'm gonna turn off the scale, and then I'm gonna put it at 284. Sure. Keyframe it at 0, and then 1 frame behind the drop, I'm gonna put it at 100, and then 1 forward, I'm gonna put it at 25. So now we have this. Actually, has to be negative. And then at 120, I'm gonna keyframe this to 0. Go to Window, Timeline, drag the step in there, and then frame all so that you can see all of it. And I'm gonna kind of change it a little bit, something like that. So usually it is like that, but if you hold shift, it turns it into one, like, how am I supposed to say this? Like, you can drag only one of the lines, so that's pretty useful. So now we have this.
So don't get
Alright, I think I'm gonna add a plane. I'm gonna change the fall off to a box, and then I'm gonna put it all the way over here. And then I'm just gonna go to like 80 to 120. And I'm gonna make it move every letter up, so it kind of looks like this. Then I click on the text, I add a delay, change it to spring, and put the strength to like 80. And if you don't want to see this box for the whole intro, double click the top circle.
so don't get
Alright, so you saw right here,
don't get
that does not look good. So at this keyframe, I'm gonna put the strength at 0, so kind of like that, and then I'll put it up so that it changes only this part of the animation. That's probably too much for the perimeter, so I'm gonna put this at 75. It goes too high.
so don't get
Alright, so we got that. I don't think it happens it should happen sooner, I think. And then there's another drop right here. 116, so I'm gonna go back to the timeline. I'm gonna add a marker. Then I'm gonna go to the text. I'm gonna drag this keyframe over here, 2 frames before the drop, go 2 frames after the drop, and then I'm going to move the text the opposite way. So it does this. So right now that looks awful. So we go to window timeline, go to the F curves, go to rotation, frame all, so we can see all of it. And I'm gonna drag it up a little bit, and then you just have to play with it. And then if it doesn't look good, looks good. See, I think this rotates back too much, so I'm gonna move it like that. Alright, so that's probably good.
so don't get
Alright, so there's another drop right there. And I'm gonna go 2 frames before the drop, and I'm gonna change this number to like, I'm gonna do something like this. I think this should look good. So it like overshoots. So I'm gonna go back to the F curves, change this to look kind of like this. It's gonna go 4 frames from that keyframe. I'm gonna change it to 157. Alright, and then to 360, because that is where the text default place is. And let's see this. See, I don't think that looks good, so we're gonna change this up a little bit. Alright, I think that looks better.
so don't get
I think this part right here is a little boring, so we're gonna add another step. And I'm gonna put this maybe 80. And I'm gonna go 1 frame before the drop, put it 0. 1 frame after that keyframe, put it at 100. And I'm gonna go to this keyframe right here. I'm gonna change it to 0. Then I'm gonna go to the F curves, drag it in, click on it, frame all, and then I'm gonna hold shift, and I'm gonna drag this down. So it kind of looks like that. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks pretty good. You watch it through.
So don't get
Or here's another thing you could do. So I'm gonna add, forgot to say this. I'm gonna click on this, add a plane, boom, change the shape to linear, change the orientation to -x, change the fall to 100%, make it 350. Yeah. Alright, then I'm gonna add rotation. So it has to rotate like this, so I'm gonna change it to 360. And one frame before the drop, I'm gonna make it like this, so yeah, so then the box moves over here, and then it's gonna go through the text. I think, yeah, it needs to be the other way. And that looks good, but it doesn't look too good, so we're gonna add an effector, delay, and then we're gonna keep it as blend. One frame before the drop, 0, and I'm gonna make it 80. Maybe 85. Alright, so that's one thing you could do, or you could just add the step. But I think that looks better. Let's watch it through again.
so don't get
There's a drop. 210, 29, 209. And then I'm going to click the plus for the marker, so we can have another marker. Then I'm going to move this keyframe so it's 2 frames before the drop, so 1, 2. Go 2 frames after the drop, and then I'm going to rotate it this way. And then I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to change it to 0. Go to the F curves, and then for this part, you're going to want to take this, drag it down a little bit, and then do something kind of like that. And then for this, drag this down. Hold on, let me watch. Alright, for this, we need to move this. So this part right here, where it makes every letter move, we're gonna have to move this keyframe. So it happens quickly. There's another drop. 245. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do anything right there. I'll do something later with that. Alright, so now that we have that, we're gonna do the camera. I actually think I'm gonna change the focal length to like 12. Yeah, 12. And I'm gonna keep this at 35. Alright, so we're gonna zoom out sort of a lot. You zoom in and out with this right here. And then get a keyframe. Go to 2 frames after or before the drop. And then we're gonna zoom in kind of like this, so like half of the text is like not on the screen. And 4 frames after that, I want to zoom out.
so don't get
Alright, so we got that. Hold on. And then I could do something kind of like this where it zooms in again. Maybe not that much. And then it zooms out. And I'll show you what I mean. So that looks awful. So go to here. Gonna go to the camera. So let me drag that in. Click on it, position, frame all. I'm gonna move this one down more. It's this right here. I'm gonna move it down more, and then I'm gonna. Sorry if you hear my garage opening. I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna hold Shift and do this. And for this one, I'm also gonna do that.
Don't get
Actually, for this, I'm going to do this so that it's like that for the keyframes.
was on my shoes, so don't get
Maybe that's too much, so I'm gonna decrease this. And then for this drop, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And then for this one, I'll zoom in. If you should already get the hang of doing this. Do that. And then it's gonna go through the text so that it like disappears, kind of like. Alright, then I go back to the F curves position. And then replicate what I'm doing in a way. Do that. It's really hard to explain F curves because it's just a line. But you kind of have to watch through what you're animating while you're doing it to see what it's like. Alright, let's watch this.
was on my shoes, so don't get
That might be too zoomed in, so I'm gonna drag this line down by selecting both the keyframes. One thing I like to add is click on the camera, go to tags, go to Cinema 4D tags, and then vibrate. Turn all these on except for pulse. Put frequency to 0.3 for each one. Copy and paste that, and then 5 for every amplitude. And then the camera kind of shakes a little bit. I think that looks like more organic than S shake, so I like to add that.
was on my shoes, so don't get
Alright, that looks pretty good. So now the circle, which takes a lot of trial and error. So you're gonna want to watch what you're doing. So I'm going to move the H behind the text. Change this to like 397. Put this at like -207. Like you just have to trial and error. That's all that you gotta do. Put this right here. This right here. And then eventually you'll get something that looks good.
was on my shoes, so don't get
That looks pretty good. And then for here, 4 frames after that keyframe, 40, negative like 3 for that, and then for this, like, I don't know, -14, sure.
was on my shoes, so don't get
Okay, then move this over here, put this down, and then change that. So looks pretty good. I mean, look at the F curves. Drag the circle in, rotation. If you click on all of it, it's gonna get confusing, so don't do that. Just click the plus, rotation, frame all, and then change this so it's more. So right now you can see that the line kind of like doesn't look smooth. So I'm going to do this, so then it happens more abruptly. Change this a little bit. Add a little bit. Actually, for the red one, I'm going to do that. Alright, we'll see what that looks like.
was on my shoes, so don't get
See, that looks pretty sick. And then for this, oh, need to move this one forward. Then I'll change this to like, I don't know, -3. Change this to 0 and then put this at like 161. Then I'm gonna rotate it. Go to the F curves. You don't have to keep closing the F curves and opening it back up. That's just what I keep doing. I don't know why. That, do that. Okay.
So don't get
That's probably, so you can see that it's kind of like at the side. That's probably too much, so I'm going to decrease that by dragging the red one down. The red, okay, so each line represents a different type of rotation. So the blue one is kind of like the tilt of the camera. This is like left and right, and this is up and down. The green one. Which you'll start to learn after making a lot of Cinema 4Ds.
so don't get
Okay, that looks pretty good. Look at something real quick. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then I'm gonna put this the other way. Just kind of like that. Go to the F curves. Frame all. That's too much, so I'll drag it down. Do that. I'm not gonna keep it like that, just a test. For this part, I think I wanna like take this line and then do that. Let's see. Maybe that's, hold on. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So what I did was I took the line, I held shift, and then it changes it so instead of dragging both lines at the same time, you drag only one side of it. So I did that. And then, so it would be like this by default, but I take the right line, I drag it so it's like that. And here's one thing, when it's like this, like you want the line at the end to be more straight, so I'll do that. Maybe it could go more down, so I'll do that.
so don't get
Let's see what it would look like if I did it this way. Just want to see. Oopsie. That was an accident. Should really be 360. Oh, nope, should be -360. Okay. Look at this. Well, that looks pretty good. Alright, so
don't get
so I think that looks pretty good. I think I'll show you it in 60 FPS if you want to see that.
so don't get
One reason why I don't like 60 FPS is because when you do a spring delay like this, It just doesn't look as good in 10 FPS. Like, and then if I look at it in 30 FPS, it looks much better. Plus, I think it's much easier to sync when it's 30 FPS. I think it looks nice. Yeah, but I think it's done. I do not usually add splines. Not really my type of thing. And then I would add materials, and then I would save it. So I would make a folder called like render, his name. Then make sure that you go to here. All these are on. If you don't have this on, then you won't get the file that like moves the background. You also want to include timeline markers so that you can see all these yellow lines. 1080p or 720p. I prefer 1080p. 30 FPS, all frames. And
So don't get cute.
yeah, I think that's done. And to make it just render quicker, I could end it at 247. And maybe I would end up changing this right here so that it's kind of like that. Let me see it now. No, definitely not. Yeah. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. Next video will be the After Effects tutorial. Sorry I took so long to make this. And yeah, have a nice day. By the way, guys, I ended up changing this keyframe right here, but instead of it being like this, changed it to be like this. I think looks much nicer. So do not listen to what I said in that. And I also put the full link down. That's all I wanted to say. Bye.